Iguodala to Curry, back to Iguodala, up for the layup. Oh, blocked by James. Curry, one-on-one. Irving puts it up. It's good. Kyrie Irving from downtown. The three, steps back, crossover, puts up a three. Rebound James. Second. It's over. It's over. Cleveland is a city of champions once again. The Cavaliers are NBA champions.
Cleveland, this is for you.
What's up, Cavs fans? Welcome back to another edition of The Block to Shot to Stop. I am Kevin Lynch here with Skylar Webker. In advance, we want to apologize for any technical difficulties. It's because it's a very exciting night. This is the first night we are officially streaming on Playback TV on our Block Shot Stop channel. Skylar, how's it to be on Playback?
It's great. I mean, it's great that we're able to show the game. We can game cast live, show highlights, and Playback is kind of given us the responsibility that we can share some league pass memberships with people that join our Playback channel. So super exciting times to be partnering with Playback for this season.
Yeah, for sure. And most importantly, sorry for any technical difficulties. We are very purposely doing our first one for a preseason episode, which may not get quite as many listens. We are, and we'll put this out on the social medias, but we want to let you know we are doing our big preseason episode Sunday night, 8 p.m. Eastern. We're going to stream it on Playback. It'll also be streaming on YouTube. Starting to set up. Scott doesn't even know this, but we have some special guests. They're going to pop in, say hi, do a quick segment with us on Sunday night. So it's going to be a super exciting partnership, as Skylar said. We will start advertising as of next week. You can come to our channel and watch the game with us. First 25 people we can give VIP access to. If you already got NBA League Pass, come on by as well. You can hook up your League Pass and watch the game with us, chat. It's kind of like your virtual sports bar is the environment we're going to set up. And for those of us like Skylar and I who typically watch the games at home by ourselves, it gives us somebody to talk to, somebody to celebrate with at a big play, someone to complain about the refs about, all that good stuff. So Skylar, with all that said, we'll let everybody know about all the stuff we're doing, but let's talk a little bit about the game tonight. The Cavs finish up the preseason with their first win of the preseason. They beat the Pistons. I apologize. I don't have the final score in front of me, but I know they're up by like 17 with a minute to go. Skylar, what was your first impressions of the game tonight? Tonight was obviously the game that they focused on. They played the starters the most for them up until the last couple of minutes. They played what you would think will be their rotation to start the season. So what were your thoughts on the game tonight? Yeah,
I mean, first off, the first preseason win of Coach Atkinson's Cavs tender. He went completely winless last preseason and was looking to do so again this preseason. But
shout out Kenny, congratulations.
But no, I thought this was like the hardest that they've played in the preseason, obviously, because it's the last one. You're trying to get it set for the season, but you just saw a lot more from these guys, especially guys like Donovan Mitchell, who played at like game speed. Super impressed with Lonzo Ball this game. And just kind of up and down the roster. These guys played at game speed and ready to kind of get after the season. I know you and I had some questions about the Lonzo Ball move and what he brings to this team, but boy, if he can give you what he gave you tonight on a pretty consistent basis, I think you really start enjoying that move a lot more.
Oh, I couldn't agree more. It was never a talent thing with Lonzo. It was a health thing is why I was skeptical. And I just think they had enough guys with injury risks on this team that I kind of hated taking another one, though we did trade him for Isaac Okoro, who had his own health concerns last year. But the talent is there, and Lonzo looked so comfortable tonight. I mean, you could easily argue he was the best player on the floor at stretches tonight. His vision and passing ability and just overall feel for the game is incredible. It's why he was a second pick in the draft. It's why he was heralded as a up and coming star. It's why the Bulls were really good for the first 30 something games when he was healthy, when he first got there, and then were much worse after he got injured. So again, if Lonzo can give you this for 50 regular season games ish, and then be healthy for the playoffs to give you this 20 something minutes a night, I'm on cloud nine, for sure. Was I going to say, other than Lonzo, who was the next person, I guess, maybe that stuck out for you tonight?
I would say Donovan Mitchell, just in the sheer shooting volume that he got tonight, 6 for 11, 3 from 6 from 3-point, while still giving you 3 steals, 3 assists. I think you saw a little more aggression in his game. It's a lot more quick step moves, a lot more cutting to the basket. I thought just Donovan Mitchell looked like he's ready to get to where the games count for sure.
Yeah, I agree with that. You could tell this was the first time he seemed to really try and lock in the preseason. Like the first couple games that he played, I don't want to say he's going through the motion. It was just feeling out thing. It was any negative. He's just a star in his 10th season and the preseason. He doesn't care. Like and it's fine. I I liked what I saw from Mitchell tonight. I completely agree. I will say the guy that stood out to me was Dean Wade. I thought
I
Dean
knew
was
you were going to say
kind of
Dean Wade.
I think he was kind of all over the place. I mean, not like 22 minutes, 15 points, 9 rebounds. Shot 5 of 10 from the floor. What was it from 3? 2 of 5 from 3. If he can, I mean, this was an exceptional Dean Wade. Not saying if he can give you this every night. If he can be an at least average 3-point shooter, he becomes a super important guy on this team, because like the two things that have always held Dean Wade back are health and shot consistency. At times he has been really good shooting the basketball. At times he's been healthy. At times he hasn't been, but he can do so many other things defensively, rebounding, filling in the cracks, being kind of flexible with what positions he's playing, who he's guarding, all these things that if he can be just an average offensive threat from 3, from cuts, from whatever else he can give you, he's not going to ever give you much playmaking or ball handling. But I think that just increases his importance to the Cavs and will increase his role on the team.
Yeah, especially like there's a slot for him in that second unit.
Mm-hmm.
So I think especially with Max Strus not being in this rotation at all for the foreseeable future, there's definitely a spot for Dean Wade at a power forward spot in that second unit. And if he can give you 9 rebounds, a block, and be just kind of 50% from the field, that's incredible. That's exactly what you need out of a guy in that role.
For sure. And as you said, with Max being out, I think people maybe focus the most on Garland being out for good reason. He's an all-star. He's an incredible player. Max is more of your just really solid, above average, maybe role player. But Max plays, even when they're limiting minutes, plays 30 minutes a night. That's 30 minutes that's going to somebody, right? And and I think Dean is well positioned to have a consistent role, maybe be a top 2 or 3 guy off the bench and get that 20 plus minutes a night. If he can be consistent offensively, if he can't, Kenny will go away from him, because Kenny values offensive consistency on this team. You can just tell by the guys who make the rotation. It is what it is. But I was super impressed with Dean tonight, and I continue to be impressed this preseason with Jalen Tyson. He's the guy that stood out to me most this preseason, probably because he's played the most of guys who are going to be in the rotation. And honestly, the way he's been playing, he's been doing enough offensively, but he's just continues to kind of grind and fill in, the necessary cracks, be a hustle guy, come up with long rebounds, set solid screens, do all these things that the Cavs are, a little bit lacking.
Well,
and
I mean, in the sense of like, what did we praise Indiana on last year?
Right.
They just had a bunch of guys that hustled, played hard. And that's what Jalen Tyson is. He's a hustle and play hard guy. And he's not a guy that's afraid to get in somebody's face. He's not a guy that's going to back down to maybe some veterans or stars in the league. And that's really what you kind of need more of on this team is, I just don't want to say aggression, but like hustle and heart guys. And to me, Jalen Tyson feels like a Benedict Mathurin type of player, where it's just like annoying for the other team, and just in the hustle and how hard nosed he plays.
Yeah, he 100% is, and I- I think his role in this team is going to be bigger than most people think. I think he might even get some starts when they're banged up, but I think he's going to be one of the first guys off the bench and playing a lot.
Hmm.
Not only because of his skill and his development, but because not only the guys that are injured, but they have a lot of guys that they're going to want to sit out games here and there that are going to get nicked up, that are
Yes.
injury prone, and most of them live on the wing of this team where Jalen Tyson plays. So I would not be surprised. Crazy prediction. Jalen Tyson is top 4 or 5 in overall minutes on this team this year. I would not be surprised if he just plays. If assuming he's healthy, he plays just about every game and he plays consistent minutes and he ends up being like one of the top 4 or 5 guys in minutes. He might on this team. I could just see that happening.
Yeah, I think that is a role for a lot of guys on this team, on this
Yeah.
roster like that, just because the East is banged up. You don't have a lot of the stars that were here. Um, it feels like around the league that the 1 seed is the Cavs to lose.
Yeah.
Like they should wake up, fall out of bed into
Mhm.
50 wins. So I think they definitely rest a lot more guys. They get more prepared for the playoffs. So I think that opens up regular season minutes for guys like Jalen Tyson, Tyrese Proctor, Craig Porter Jr. I think a lot of those guys will see a lot more floor time during this regular season.
Yeah. I completely agree with that. I completely would agree with every guy you said. I just think Jalen Tyson's going to get the most out of all of
I
those guys.
agree.
I think I can see Tyrese Proctor. He's having a role on this team. He's impressed me. I've continued to be high on CPJ and really think he has a role in this team. Sam Merrill, they're going to increase his role because of both need and the contract that they gave him. But
Yeah.
of all those guys, I just see Jalen Tyson getting a lot of opportunity. I see him having a very good chance of taking advantage of that opportunity by, just filling needs for this team. And I think he's a guy who wants to play. He's young, he's hungry, he wants to play every day. He's not a guy that you're gonna load manage at all. And yeah, I see him having a role to begin the year, and I could see his role growing as the season goes on, especially if they have any injuries.
Yeah, and I know this is a bit of a topic switch, but one thing
Mhm.
that really impressed me that we talked about towards the end of last season when Darius Garland went down, just having somebody who can take the ball up the floor
Yep.
other than Donovan Mitchell. I saw a lot of that with Lonzo Ball as Detroit played full court defense. And just having, like you said, having a guy that can do that
Yeah.
was like that doesn't show up in stat sheets, but that's
Yeah.
took so much off of everybody else.
Yeah.
And we saw how that should like really grinded Donovan Mitchell at the end of during the playoffs last year when Darius Garland went down and just really, really like that's how Indiana burned through Cleveland.
For sure. Um, so the other thing I would say, well, I think we're going to talk about Jalen Tyson plenty this year. And, so we should talk about a couple other guys tonight. As we said, this is the starters' most significant minutes. Jared Allen definitely had his best game of the preseason. I thought he looked really good. I think it was very evident that he's trying to just show enough of like a 12 to 15-foot jumper this year to maybe make
Yeah.
teams respect it a little bit. DeAndre Hunter continues to score the ball lots. He scored the ball well in all 3 games he's played. Sam Merrill had this was his preseason debut. It was the only preseason game he played. I thought he looked, solid. Who else do you want to focus on, I guess, here out of those guys or somebody I didn't mention?
We'll start with I kind of want to go with the tandem of Jared Allen and Larry Nance. So you can tell
Okay.
that Jared Allen definitely, like you said, is trying to add a bit more of a mid-range, not be just around the hoop.
Yeah.
And it also seemed like he really worked on his free throws this year. I know he wasn't an atrocious free throw shooter last year, but I don't think this team was a great free throw shooting team at all last year. So you could tell there's some things that Jared Allen's trying to work on the offensive side so that I think he knows that he needs to develop that stuff to be in the late game, be in the closing 5 of games. Because we saw in the playoffs again where Jared Allen wasn't in there in the fourth quarter to close games, and it's because the offensive production. So you can tell he's trying to add another wrinkle into that offensive side of the ball just so he can stay in this lineup when it counts.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I like that you kind of tandem JA and Larry Nance Jr. In the sense that Larry, we've talked about before, but Larry Nance gives them an option they didn't have last year, and that's to play two bigs and stretch the floor at the same time. If they wanted to stretch the floor, they had to take Jared Allen off and then play a little bit undersized. It was like Hunter at the 4, maybe Dean Wade at the 4, Strus at the 4, guys like that.
Yep.
Now they can play big and play that 5-out style to give guys like Evan Mobley and Donovan Mitchell a little bit more freedom to attack the basket without, anybody being in there and dragging defenders into the paint. So I thought Larry has looked as advertised in the preseason. He's not afraid to shoot, particularly from 3. I wish he would grab a couple offensive rebounds instead of constantly trying to tap everyone to people. But other than that, no real complaints about Larry Nance Jr. I think they're going to be a very good flexible tandem for the Cavs at center this year, along with obviously opportunities for Evan Mobley to play the 5.
Yeah, and with Nance, one thing I love about Nance's game is that he will fight in there for rebounds. I do agree with you on he should grab more offensive boards instead of trying to tap it out to people. But there were several times tonight. I'm looking at the stat sheet. He's got 4 rebounds, but a couple of them there were 3 or 4 Pistons getting the ball, and he kind of dove in there to get it. So I love just the hard play style, and along with the shooting that he kind of provides this team. And there's some semblance of continuity on this team just because of, Lonzo and Nance's time in LA, Nance playing here with Garland during his first time around, obviously the core 4 being with each other for as long as they have. So there's a lot of continuity pieces with this team that feel like they're going to pay high dividends, especially the deeper in the season we go.
I completely agree. And then as far as guys, I mean, that's most of the guys. We don't have to go through the whole roster. Evan Mobley looks solid. He wasn't super aggressive tonight. I think he was a little bit more aggressive in that first game or 2 of the preseason. But I thought he looked good. And the team overall, preseason doesn't matter at all. I put that post out and I completely agree. I still believe in that. But I also think, it is nice to see a good tune-up where you're playing kind of like the regular season, just to give you that little bit of momentum and confidence for when they do tip off here in a week from tomorrow against the Knicks.
Yeah, for sure. And I will say, though Evan Mobley's shooting numbers were not very great tonight, he's still looking great on the defensive end. Still gave you 6 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 steals, 3 blocks. So he gave you plenty on the defensive minds of the court. Maybe he'll go for a back-to-back defensive player of the year.
For sure. Well, with that, Skylar, I mean, I've talked plenty about the preseason. If you got one closing thought on the preseason before we get to the real thing, why don't you share it, and I'll see if I have one as well.
I would say preseason or not, it's still fun to watch Cavs basketball.
Great take. If I have one thought to come out of the preseason, I'm just going to reiterate, it's Jalen Tyson. He's the guy I'm my excitement level has risen the most for over the last, week or so of the preseason. I was high on him coming in. The preseason even elevated that a little bit, and can't wait to see what he does in the regular season.
No doubt. I think, like you said, he's gonna have a growing role on this team.
Yeah. So for that, I want to thank everyone for tuning in, and I apologize again if there's any technical errors. We're playing around a little bit with stuff in here. We are gonna, like I said, do our big preseason episode Sunday night, 8 p.m. Eastern. We're also going to have some announcements on social media about a little bit different restructuring the show, a bunch of guests that we're going to have on. Really, really fun stuff for this season, and can't wait to get started. So for that, for Skylar Webker, I'm Kevin Lynch. Thank you all, Cavs Nation. And as always,
Go Cavs.